Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is another weekend of clarinets, cats, and coffee. In today's video, I am going to address some of the commonly asked questions that we all have when it comes to practicing. Specifically, how long should we practice? How often should we practice? If we miss a day of practice, can we make it up the next day? At what point in practicing do we actually start to see improvement? How often should we take breaks? Is longer practice always better? And how many days in a row can you get away with not practicing before you start to get worse? Before we dive into that, I want to thank all of my patrons and channel members for supporting my channel and for making this possible. If you love my content and you like learning from me, please consider supporting my channel at the link below to either Patreon or right here on YouTube through channel memberships. In addition, you could also support my channel by buying my newest book. It's an articulation book designed for the early intermediate player. Each etude in the book is a little bit more difficult than the previous one, and every single etude in the book has a link to an accompanying video. So I'm going to put a link to my new book below. It came out just a couple of months ago this year, so be sure to check it out. Okay, so today's topic was actually a suggestion by one of my students and patrons, simply because he had questions about this and thought that maybe the rest of my community would too. Now, my approach to practice goes like this. We have two main things that we're trying to accomplish when we practice. One is we are training the physical aspect of ourselves to be able to play our instrument. We cannot ignore the fact that it's a very physical thing to play the clarinet or any musical instrument. The other aspect of practicing is training our mind and learning how to focus, learning how we learn, and all kinds of other wonderful brain things that I don't even know is happening. So the goal is to practice efficiently and effectively so that we remove the barriers within ourselves, whether it's physical or mental, that prevent us from fully expressing ourselves through our music. So this is what makes playing a musical instrument a lifelong journey and really exciting and very fun, because there's always room for improvement. We always are going to be learning things about ourselves. So with the end goal in mind of musical expression, removing physical or mental barriers to be able to express ourselves musically, here is my take on planning practice. There are three main components to practicing: review, learning, and refining. So the duration of our practice is going to determine how much time we're able to spend in all of these three categories. When we practice every day, even if it's for a short amount of time, that enables us to review music and refine music that we've been working on. Taking a break once a week, maybe one day off, is okay, but there's really no substitute for daily practice. If you miss a day of practice, you can't really make it up the next day, because you need that time to process what you've reviewed, what you've learned, what you've refined. And you need that daily practice to be able to build off of what you've done the day before. That way, you can make small bits of progress over a long period of time to see big results. So now that we've established that we need to practice every day, I'm going to start with the shortest duration that I would deem acceptable. Now it would be about 30 minutes of practice. Now, if you're new to playing a musical instrument or the clarinet, 30 minutes a day may be all you need to be able to learn the patterns, learn the music, and learn the basic technique. Once you get to an intermediate level, 30 minutes isn't really going to do a whole lot for your improvement, but it will do a couple of things. You'll be able to maintain a basic level of ability. You'll be able to review your fundamentals, and you'll be able to do a little bit of refining and maybe a teensy bit of learning within that time. I know it's a lot to pack into 30 minutes. If you practice efficiently, you'll be able to maintain a good baseline of ability. 60 minutes every day, I would say, is ideal for most players at an intermediate level, or even for some very busy professional players as well. This will give the player enough time to do maintenance work, reviewing fundamentals, refining areas of one's playing, diving a little bit deeper into musical ideas, and learning new material. Now, learning the new part is really important. As we add a little bit more duration to our practice sessions, we're enabling ourselves to get more repetitions in, which in turn allows us to learn things a little bit quicker and a bit more thoroughly. So if you backtrack to the 30-minute practice sessions, you're going to find that it's hard to retain information day to day, practice session to practice session. So progress will be very slow or not much progress at all. Once we start practicing 60 minutes or more a day, we're going to start seeing improvement in learning, retention, and you may even start to tap into your musical ideas and learn music beyond just the notes and the rhythm on the page. Once you're working around 90 minutes, this is where you're going to start to see a bit more growth, a bit sooner in your practicing. This, again, allows more learning, more reps, and this is the point where you start going over 60 minutes. I feel like it's much easier to dive into musical ideas because you're solidifying all of the technique. Your fundamentals are good, right? So what do you do with the rest of your time? You get creative. You start experimenting with different ideas for phrasing. You look at deeper into the music. Where's the climax of the piece? What am I trying to say with my music? All of the things that we want to do with our music. If we devote a little bit more time, more than 60 minutes, aiming for maybe 90, you're going to start to develop more of your musical personality. I will also notice in my own playing, if I can devote regular 90 minutes or more, I'll notice significant improvements in my endurance. So it's really important to be able to build that endurance and that muscle up, especially if you're playing concerts on a regular basis or if you have long rehearsals that you have to go to with whatever ensemble you're in. So that's where I start to notice endurance improvements, where I can make it through long rehearsals without being completely dead afterwards. Now, 120 to 180 minutes, that's 2 to 3 hours of practice a day, is ideal for anybody who is serious about getting very good at their instrument and really trying to hone in on their musical ideas. This enables you enough time to really dive in and really learn things thoroughly, get your reps in, and go beyond just the technique itself and refine musical ideas in your playing. This is where, over a couple of hours, this is where I start to find myself thinking more creatively about the music that I'm learning and about the music that I'm playing. All of that being said, I feel very strongly if you find yourself needing more than 3 hours a day of practice just to feel like you're improving, my guess is that you're probably not practicing very efficiently, or you're not giving yourself enough breaks in between practice sessions. So personally, I like to limit my practice sessions, even throughout a day, to maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and then I take a break. That enables myself to kind of take a step back and sort of let material sink in and kind of become part of the background of my brain. I like to call it the soundtrack of my brain, right? So if I'm practicing music, and I think you guys probably experience this, if you do it enough, you start to hear it in your head, kind of going on in the background while you're washing dishes or going for a walk or typing things up. You hear it all the time in your head. And with enough practice, that's gonna be there, and that's kind of your brain processing all the stuff you've worked on, right? That being said, you do need to give your brain a break from actively working on things and give your body a little bit of a break from actively working on things. So if you're going to plan out 3 hours of practicing in a day, try doing 3 60-minute chunks. I guarantee your retention will improve significantly if you do it this way. Or you could even do 2 hour-and-a-half chunks with a break in the middle at the 45 mark for both of those. So give that a try and see if your retention, your learning, your review, and your musical ideas improve over time. So I know this can sound like a huge commitment, right? I'm telling you, you got to practice every day, ideally at least an hour. If you want to see improvement, aim for 90 minutes or more. That's a lot. At the end of the day, you've got to figure out a schedule that works for you. So maybe during the week when you're working, you devote 30 minutes a day. On the weekends, maybe that's whenever you put in a couple hours each day. Breaking it up throughout the week like that will ensure that you still make progress over time. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, a good week next week. If you guys have anything to add, please leave them in the comments below. I know that there are many different theories, many different opinions about how to structure practice time, and I'm always curious to learn new ways and new ideas. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next week, and as always, happy practicing.